open the meeting, and the first item on the business is the need for executive session. Does anybody have anything this evening?
I have 2 legal matters and 1 personnel matter, Mr. Chairman. The legal matters have to do with a police matter and also the legalities of applying for Burdett funds.
Mm-hmm.
And the personnel matter has to do with the town manager's assistant.
Anybody got anything else for tonight?
No. I don't.
I move we go into executive session for those 3 items.
Second it.
Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion's passed. Do we have a need to any emergency amendments?
Certainly not an emergency, but Helen did present me with a request for a homestead declaration penalty abatement. Certainly could be kicked down the road if you'd like.
I think we need to
Next
kick that
agenda.
down the road
Okay.
on the next agenda.
Yep.
So we have an amended agenda from last Friday anyways,
That's right, revised.
revised, so I move that we adopt the amended agenda.
Second it.
Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion unanimously passed. Next are the select board meeting minutes of October 18th. Are there any additions, changes, or corrections to those meeting minutes?
There's none.
There's no lot of ink tonight, no.
There. Where's the siren?
Didn't hear it.
Go off.
I didn't hear it. It did. There it is. There's the siren.
Oh, okay.
I'm moving it out of my seat.
That's all?
That's up in Chittenden though.
Oh,
I'd put a repeater down here.
Yeah, it's for the in case the dam ever breaks.
oh, that's their
the
siren you've
Chittenden
been
siren.
testing. I thought it was this one right outside
Oh,
the
gosh.
door.
I'd blow
That's
you
what
out of
scared
here.
me.
I'll blow you out of here.
Phew.
No, I wanted to be in spotlight, didn't you, Kevin?
So I think I'll go over there.
We heard it down here.
Yep.
Next are the orders. Are there any questions on the orders?
There's a total of 5, 4 in the original and 1 in tonight's packet.
No, I didn't have that.
Don't all of this down. You got any questions?
Here, George?
You can
I
hear
didn't
it.
look at all of them, I missed some of them.
Yeah, it did.
That's why I didn't hear it. Influence stuff. I was running,
Probably.
saw, and had the radio blaring.
Supposed to sound for a minute, I think, was it, John?
Yeah. But as of noon, it was
And you
about
can hear
2
the wind
minutes really before
changing.
gearing up and winding
Feel the
down.
wind changing, too.
Yeah, I'd say you can hear it that way.
Payroll, Joe.
Jesus.
We're out of ink.
What?
I'm done. I got rid of a lot of
You sign this one?
Yeah.
It doesn't say now.
it. No, I didn't.
It's lifting off. Yeah, I'm watching you.
I think somebody's watching me. Sign that one, though.
It's okay. That's the important one.
Town managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first draft of the town budgets will be circulated in advance of the November 15th Select Board meeting. And as is traditional, we'll start with the presentations from the Highway Foreman Sean Erickson and Recreation Director Randy Adams. They'll discuss their budget proposals and work plans for the coming year. Lyle Jepson and Mary Cohen, Lyle Jepson from Reddick and Mary Cohen from the Regional Planning Commission, will be back to update the board on their Killington Valley marketing efforts and to request continued funding support from the town. As you know, Mr. Chairman, the ribbon cutting at the Fire Academy for their new burn building was postponed due to the windstorm on early Monday, and we haven't gotten a date yet for the new event. Wondered if the chief wanted to talk about Pittsford Haunted House year event this year.
It was a tremendous success with the weather. We had, I think, 3,446 guests over 4 nights. And, probably one of the best ones we've had in years.
Fantastic.
Fantastic time.
Great. As some of us heard just a moment ago, the town of Chittenden is testing their dam emergency siren, which will be used only in the event that there's a catastrophic emergency with the Chittenden Dam. It was tested at noon today and again just moments ago at 6:30. The town and school land swap that's been negotiated is coming toward a closing. Attorney Kupfer has been in touch with the school district's attorney in an attempt to expedite the transaction. The school district's attorney is drafting the deeds now so that there can be a closing as soon as possible following the notice period, which expires on November 10th. Finally, I'm told by, actually not finally, almost finally, I'm told by Bill Powers, the president of the Pittsford Historical Society, that tomorrow, Thursday night, on channels 22 and 44, there will be a presentation having to do with the Fort Vengeance historic marker. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill. And the broadcast times are going to be 5:40, 6:40, 7:40, and 8:40. Is that right? In the morning. Thank you. For the early birds. And finally, yes, the town manager will be out of the office Wednesday and Thursday of next week, November 8th and 9th, to attend a town managers conference.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments on the town manager's report?
Just a comment on that sheet. Are we all okay with changing the date on the fireworks discussion until December?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
It's on the agenda.
That's on the agenda.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Do we have any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on, and we're going to switch things around because we've got some guests this evening.
My apologies.
So our next item is remarks from the V-Trans regarding the Route 7 and 3 bridge replacement plans.
Yeah, just a quick introduction, Mr. Chairman. The V-Trans design engineers have made changes to their plans, which they're going to discuss tonight. They were here last week and visited with the highway foreman and myself to discuss generally what they have in mind, but Doug Bonneau is here to talk about their plans.
Thank you for inviting us down. We have about 15 slides and some of them are just pictures, so we won't take up too much of your time. Some while ago, we were down discussing the project a little bit, and we've reached a point where we've come up with a traffic phasing construction scheme and a final bridge design. Well, not the final bridge design, but a final layout that we'd like to propose. So we just wanted to run that by you guys and make sure that we were headed down the right direction, so we don't have to go backwards after we spend more design money. So I have with me John Byett from CLD. He's in charge of the main bridge design itself and putting together the plans. I'm the project manager for the Agency of Transportation. With that, I'll turn it over to John and we can go to any questions after he's through.
Thank you. Thanks for having us tonight. So, everybody know where the bridge is? Just want to make sure. Okay. Route 7 over Furnace Brook, Bill's Bridge, I guess, right?
Mills, yeah.
Okay. The bridge is in pretty bad condition. It gets inspected regularly, and this is kind of the rating that the V-Trans inspectors give it. Right now, the bridge deck portion, the concrete portion that sits on the steel beams is rated a 5. It's in fair condition. We can make it a little worse than that. The superstructure rating, it's a concrete T-beam. So the superstructure, and I'll show you some pictures of this deterioration in a second, is also rated as a fair condition. The substructure is a little better. The abutments and the pier are a little better than the deck and the superstructure. They're rated as satisfactory. The main issues are that deck and superstructure deterioration, those concrete beams, and again, I'll show you a picture in a second. The shoulders on the bridge, as you know, are a little narrow as you're coming, as you're up against the bridge rail now. And also the bridge rail itself is considered substandard. What we like to do now is put bridge rails on that can survive a federal crash test. Right now, these probably won't. None of this is anything to worry about. The bridge is fine. There's no safety issues now, but it is definitely something we want to do pretty soon is replace the bridge. So traffic data, this, as you know, there's a lot of traffic going through here. We counted about almost 10,000 cars a day going through here. The design hourly volume, that's basically the worst 1 hour of traffic, is about 1,100 cars per hour, and about 810 trucks a day. Now, the bridge will be designed for traffic design year 20 years in the future. So these traffic volumes we have now are kind of projected out 20 years, and that's what we'll design for. Okay, so here's a picture of the beam. Like I said, these are concrete beams. These two in the middle, so much of the concrete has disappeared. All you can see is basically the reinforcing steel, which is also rusting as well. And again, no need to really worry yet, but this is not something we like to see. Also, you can see that kind of red square there. That's a patch from the deck, and you can also see some of the rebar where the concrete's fallen out below the deck as well. This is the pier. This is one of the sides of the pier. You can see a plant growing out of the top of it, which is a great pier. But you can see how kind of the rust is coming down, and that white stuff, this kind of efflorescence we call it. So water is just kind of coming down the side of there and kind of deteriorating the pier itself. You know all about your water line.
That's the water line that runs across it, yep.
Yeah, that's the one with the big icicle in the winter.
Yes.
The pavement is not in great shape either as you drive on the bridge. This is actually a joint where the end of the deck hits the roadway. It's all cracked up too, and so we want to replace that when we build a new bridge. It's just a shot looking south, and I know everybody's familiar with this anyway, but just a couple pictures here. One looking north. Just to kind of hint at what's coming, you can see, here's Route 7, and you've got that kind of slip lane that goes onto Route 3 as you're heading south there. North. So the proposed changes. First couple weren't really changes from before. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to have a single span bridge instead of a two-span bridge. We're actually going to reduce the overall length of the bridge. We're going to take it from about 102 feet long to about 84 feet long. The south abutment is going to basically stay where it is, and we're going to move the north one closer to the river. The shoulder widths, I think we've got 2 and 3 foot shoulders on each side. We're going to be closer to 9 feet now. So they're going to be much wider, which is a safety improvement for everybody as you're driving through, because right now it's pretty tight going through there. And that slip lane that I pointed out, and again I'll show you a plan in a second, we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to have a turn lane onto Route 3. So this is a plan of the existing conditions. The gray is, the current roadway. You can see below is Route 7. This is heading north that way, and to the top there is the slip lane going onto Route 3. The gas station is that square to the left, and the white circle is the green space that's there now, the light in the middle of that. So what we're proposing to do, and by the way, this is just the bridge project. In a few years, there'll be a roadway improvement project that I think you may be familiar with. I'm kind of refer to it as segment 2 of the whole Pittsford Brandon improvement. So we worked with our designers on this, the segment 2 designers. So basically they're kind of incorporating their future plans into this part of the bridge job. So these kind of intersection improvements are what they wanted to do for the future for segment 2. So they won't be ripping it out and redoing it all over again.
But your timetable is 2021 for construction here,
For the bridge job, yeah.
and then 2026 at the earliest for the segment 2.
I think it said
upgrade.
2046 for the road.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, don't look.
We're on fast track, don't forget.
2096
Yeah, I-
at this rate.
I
None
don't
of us
even
are
know
gonna
that
see
there
it.
is a set date yet,
Understood,
but yes, it will be several
No
years
sooner
down the
than-
road from this one. I would say no sooner than-
Gotta love it.
So 21 is the date for the bridge now?
21 is the date. for the bridge.
Originally, it was
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah,
Um,
they'll be coming back.
Maybe I can get closer here, if you don't mind. So, this was kind of the edge of the existing bridge here. And here was the lane, the straight lane that went down to Route 3. So what we're proposing to do is have 2 lanes coming through here now. You know, 2 will go straight, but this one will also take a right on Route 3, and this one can take a left on the Oxbow Road. So instead of being able to go straight through like that, you will come down and you take a turn onto Route 3.
Is that going to be accomplished with the bridge project or with the road project?
I'm sorry?
Is the turn lane going to Route 3 going to be a combination with the bridge or
We
with the
will do
road?
that as part of the bridge project.
Okay.
So everything, the improvements you see here, the changes we will do as the bridge project, but we kind of coordinate with the roadway project.
Okay.
So our understanding is they won't be changing that drastically again when they come through here. The roadway project will basically effectively start, you know, on this side, and go that way, and then go that way as well. So hoping this little area is, for the most part, in good shape when that project comes through. All right, construction phasing. Another change we had was we had what we called a 3-phase method, where you basically push all the traffic coming down Route 7 to the east, you build the new bridge to the west, then you split that traffic and put some on the new bridge, some on the old bridge, and you have this middle construction portion. And then when that middle's done, you shift everything to the west, and then you do the last bit. So the 3 phases through there. What we found was this is going to take a lot of time, probably 2 construction seasons, and we wanted to avoid that. Also, building that middle portion is really difficult to do because you've got moving traffic on either side. So working in the area is going to be really tough. So we wanted to come up with a 2-phase plan. And I'll try to describe that for you here. I've got a better color slide towards the end, which may help. But basically, what we want to do is bring both lanes of Route 7 to the east, like I said, and then we'll build a temporary bridge. So this square you see here is going to be the temporary bridge. So all the traffic's here, we build the temporary bridge. Then once traffic is on the temporary bridge, 2 lanes, and you can kind of see the movements, we will build the eastern portion of the bridge, the eastern half, so to speak. Then we remove the temporary bridge, put traffic back on the portion we just built, put traffic back on that, get rid of the temporary bridge, and then build the rest of the bridge. So you can see the bridge itself is shaped quite a bit different than the original one. So this is probably a little bit better drawing. You can see that pink area is the temporary bridge, the green is the existing bridge. We're actually proposing to build a portion of the temporary bridge over the existing bridge, because it's kind of difficult. We couldn't push it all the way out. There just wasn't enough room, and we couldn't get traffic up and down. So it kind of covers, you can't really see it, some of that green of the existing bridge. So what we're going to have to do is raise the grade of the road. It's going to be on top, but the temporary bridge is a little higher. So we're probably going to have to ramp up about 3 feet to get to the existing bridge. So we believe we can probably build the temporary bridge itself without closing any traffic down, shutting down traffic. But this area here, kind of raise it at 3 feet, we may have to have maybe a weekend closure of access to move through here. That's something we're still looking at. We just kind of want to give you a heads up on that. Also, we're still looking at this also, but for safety reasons, to get in and out of Oxbow Road and in and out of Route 3, we're planning on signalizing the whole intersection, just for the temporary condition, not for the final condition, but for these phases here, these phases of construction, we think we're going to have to signalize it. Because
What about wintertime?
getting in and out of Oxbow is going to be...
What about wintertime?
What about wintertime?
On that hill with a traffic light? Ooh,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a nightmare.
The goal is to build it in one season.
That's correct. We should launch the temporary bridge much quicker than building the three-phase options. So it'll be a full, long construction season from, you know, the end of March probably, all the way to the beginning of December. But there's no reason it can't be built in one season.
Yeah, but you're still gonna be hitting some bad weather in either end, I would think. That's a treacherous hill in the wintertime sometimes.
Yeah, northbound or southbound?
Yeah, you put a traffic signal at the bottom of that thing, I can just see the pileups at the bottom of that thing.
Yeah.
That's a bigger concern to me than traffic coming off Oxbow or Route 3.
That's good to know. Like I said, we're still kind of looking at that, we're going a little further, but that's good to know, yeah, any, you know, insight you have is helpful for us.
Yeah, we handle a lot of accidents there, so.
Okay.
So that, I think, is mainly what I have, what we have, some changes we're proposing, so open up to any other questions?
Is the finished product in front of the old store, the brick store, is that gonna be about this height of the road, about the same as it is right now when it's all
Yes.
done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much you know, we are widening the bridge bit, we are widening it to that side.
Right.
And we're continuing, I think we're building that purple there is gonna be the sidewalk.
Oh.
There will be, I think the sidewalk's gonna be longer, right now there's no sidewalk approaching it really, so there will be one now.
The final grades will all be pretty close to what they are right now.
So, yeah, we're not really raising the profile much now.
Pretty hard to.
What's the logic of 9-foot shoulders? That's pretty wide.
Yeah, I think it's based on the speeds and the traffic volumes and that kind of stuff, that
Mhm.
curve as well.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, but that's basically what they do, they run the numbers based on those factors in there. And, yeah, we really wanted a decent sized shoulder in there as well.
I don't think you mentioned, I think when you met with us, you mentioned there would be a temporary sidewalk for people.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yes, yeah.
we neglected to say, one of the first phases of construction, we didn't talk about the utility relocations, but it's putting a temporary pedestrian bridge to the east, taking the pedestrian sidewalk traffic off the bridge.
That's right here.
And so the water line would also attach to that temporarily until the new bridge is built, and we could put the permanent water line on the new bridge. So it would be good to separate the pedestrians from that construction in a way so that'll work out.
You'll have crosswalks or something, I assume. So that people can get from across the street.
We could, what's out there, I guess I would have to look at the pictures out there now for crosswalks. Because all we're doing really is moving the sidewalk out a little bit.
I'm just thinking during construction, it might be quite a scene. What was the reason that you couldn't move the temporary bridge further north so you didn't have to increase the elevation? Is that-
It's basically the right of way, and, well, there's a couple of reasons. One is the right of way impacts out here. I'm sorry. Because there's an existing house here, and we need to be able to move the roadway out enough to get onto the temporary bridge, and then also get off with truck traffic without impacting the gas station property there. So, in the location that it is, we can make the turning movements without affecting the gas station there, or this, our right of way line is basically right at this guy's front porch, but,
So making that turn without hitting the gas station property was tricky. Kind of led to where the temporary bridge is.
I have a question regarding the historic issue that we talked about. We met with these people at our store at their invitation. And on the historic, I'm going to refer to the green that they want to remove down there. I asked them, I told them that it was historic, and they said that they had deemed that it was not. So I'd like to offer to the board, and I'll give you people a copy as well. I took it from the January 8th, 2015 AOT scoping report. And it said, historic. The green space at the intersection with Vermont Route 3 is considered a contributing feature of the historic district. The railing and approach of the new bridge will need to be compatible with the historic district. And then I'll offer up to the board as well as to you as well. That from Caitlin O'Shea, an email dated January 6, 2014. Please note that the green space is considered a contributing feature of the historic district. The railing and approach on the new bridge will need to be compatible with the historic district. Caitlin O'Shea, Historic Preservation Specialist, Vermont Agency of Transportation. And then in that scoping report, there are several bridge proposals that were sent, and this is clearly shown and marked as historic and on several pages. So I'd like to offer that to the board. And then I'll give you one as well. And then I have some photos that clearly show the bandstand that was there. There used to be a covered bridge and then a bandstand where that green was. All that remains down there from the bridge, the bandstand, and all the associated mill is that green. And my property can come right out into the green. So I'll offer this picture, and I'm sorry I only have one photo, but these photos were covered incidentally when my surveyor, when he surveyed Route 7, when we had our right-of-way issue with the state. These were recovered from the University of Vermont Library by my surveyor, Raymond Page. And then I'm going to offer up two more photos, or two more pages of photos of the 1931 bridge on top, the covered bridge with the bandstand in the background, and then another picture of the actual dam that was there where they had the mills. Okay.
Kelly, will you make sure that these get in the minutes, or attached to the minutes? For the record.
Yep.
The only other point that I'd like to make is we did get standing at an Act 250 hearing for the road project back when the first Act 250 was initiated. There were 6 out of the 10 criteria. We were granted 6 to have participation. V-Trans opposed, filed a motion to reconsider for the district commission. The district commission affirmed in our favor. So there is a potential legal issue there, which I will take care of. I'm not going to discuss that here. The board doesn't need to. Now, does this have to have an Act 250 permit?
No, the bridge project does not have to.
Okay, because the road does have to have an Act 250 permit, and my understanding of your presentation was that you're going to make changes to those islands, to that island. And I'm going to tell you from my evidence that came tonight that is historic, and that's right from your own agency, from your own scoping report, from the date that I mentioned.
Okay. So I'll go back and do a little bit more research, and we can certainly offer a response, but we did check the Act 250 for the Pittsford Brandon roadway project, the overall project itself, and it does refer to the green space, but it's not this green space. It's the green space up at the other end of the project, at the north end, in the Act 250 project itself.
Maybe in a different segment, Doug. I'm referring to the segment that we're talking about. There were 6 segments.
Yeah. And there's each segment has its own Act 250, but there's also an overall that talks to the historic nature of the features. And from my understanding, that if that was a historic feature, it would have been pointed out in the overall Act 250 for the Pittsford Brandon overall segment.
Well, please take a look at what your department said on, because this
Okay.
came from your bridge scoping report, so I won't waste any more time. We can discuss this.
That's fine.
Thanks.
Any questions, comments?
I just have one more. I have an issue with removing the green for safety reasons. Currently, the Oxbow Road and Route 3 intersections are not aligned with their center line, so when the traffic's coming out, traffic is not the same. To remove that green and to create a right angle turn coming out of that bridge is removing the current center line adjustment of Route 3. And I'd like to offer up from the V-Trans concerns meeting of February 18th, 2015, and I'll give you a copy as well, concerns. And these were the project locations. This is what was presented as to what they were going to do. This was a meeting at the Pittsford Town Hall. And it was to widen the structure to meet Vermont state standards. And the proposed bridge rail was to go to 47.5 feet, existing is 39. Now, unless I'm mistaken, which very well, I thought you told me the bridge was going to be narrower than the current bridge.
On the end towards your property, it
Well,
will.
any width of the bridge, what is it rail to rail? Because that's the term you use.
Do you have a typical section, John, in your plans?
I've got, it's kind of complicated, because it flared before, now it's not flared before, so it widened. I've got all the numbers in the green off to you if you want. But in general, we are widening the bridge. It's not getting narrower from what it was before. We are widening this way. We're shortening it. It expands
Sure.
us.
Okay.
But the width is more.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, I thought when we met that you said it was going to be narrower.
No, I'm sorry.
That was gonna
We're
happen.
widening it, most of the widening, I think, is to this direction. It's going this way. So, again, it gets complicated because we had three before and it was varied, but in general, we're widening the shoulder. So here, yes, up here it is narrower. Maybe that's where the confusion was, because it was like this before, so it was wider here than here. So at the narrow point, it is wider, because we're widening those shoulders here. But instead of having that flare, obviously, we're going this way. So we are increasing those shoulders that I was talking about to meet some of those safety standards.
Well, we want the bridge fixed, that's for sure. But I'm not sure that, we've watched that corner, the traffic flow on that corner many years. We run the towing business for many years. Worked with the fire department and fire chief. We have to have egress in and out with our trucks. And I'm just really concerned about misaligning that center line. To me, I'm not a highway engineer, but I drive a truck. And to come down and to make a right angle turn, and we don't have anything on the proposed road. And I have V-Trans plans that came up and spoke with the town manager. The dated they're dated 2012. And they're showing a right-hand turning lane on Route 3 to go south along with traffic to come across. It's going to put way too much activity going on there. Plus reduce the historic part of it. My suggestion to them was to buy the blue house that's for sale there right now, because that driveway's right there. They've got right-of-way issues. And
So from
pursue that.
I'll just address a little bit from the safety perspective. The thought is coming across the bridge and making a more conventional right-hand turn will slow traffic down, as opposed to the ones that shoot through here and don't pay attention to the yielding condition of left-turning vehicles going onto Route 3 from 7. So it takes away one conflict point at least by getting rid of the slip lane. In addition, we met with this person here who's just signed on the house today, actually. So, Mr. Peter Koopman owns it now, and one of his concerns was actually pulling out of the existing driveway and the traffic that shoots throughout the slip lane. He was more than pleased to see this proposal here, but I don't, obviously there's a different perspective.
So I can understand his perspective. That is tough there.
Yeah.
They used to stop.
Used to be a stop condition? Okay.
And as we said, speed is a concern. I think, as my wife indicated, if you reduced it to 25 miles an hour, at least there, it would make a huge difference as well.
Well, I think the traffic coming around and taking a more conventional right-hand turn to get onto 3 will tend to, especially for the locals that the chutes are there now, will force them to come down and take a right-hand turn. In fact, Mr. Kuban asked us if we could look at taking the guardrail out a little further and coming around to prevent, this is just going to be striped before, but it would prevent people, especially the kids that get million would just shoot across there. Any other concerns, questions?
I think another thing we were thinking about, and I don't know if anybody else sees this, but when you're coming off Oxbow, which is crazy anyway, it just seems like you're trying to get onto Route 7 and then you want to get onto Route 3. That's going to be a really long, like, I don't know, it appears like it's a long ways.
I don't see how it's different than the existing condition.
Looks like an extra lane.
Yeah, it looks almost like, I don't know, when you go, like, if you're going like this, it just seems like.
See the island right here now?
Yeah.
So it's really no different. It's the same width. Yeah. It's just striped.
Just looking at the map, it looks weird. But
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we thank you gentlemen for coming to
Well,
this
thank you
evening.
for
It was
listening down.
very informative.
Yep.
I think we got some good questions.
Absolutely.
Got some homework to do.
Excuse me.
Want to handle some of that?
That's fine. We'll just take it out of the hallway and break it down. Get out of your guys' way.
Yeah, you think they'd buy that pool house that's for sale right there? Not very much.
Hard to tell how the state works.
They got room enough to do a green somewhere.
Sure. I've got one set of those minutes if you need those to refer to. Yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda is discuss the possibility of providing police coverage to Chittenden. We have Chief Warfel here.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just as a starter, Chief Warfel was approached by a member of the Chittenden Select Board about the possibility of Pittsford providing police coverage. They've been somewhat dissatisfied with the service of the Sheriff's Department, and they're looking at their options. And in the past packets, and again tonight, in the packet for tonight, we put together some research which basically gave us the impression that this was not completely novel. Other police departments around Vermont provide services to neighboring communities. And we also ran that idea by Vermont League of Cities and Towns from a legal and liability perspective. They didn't suggest that there was any particular problem with the concept itself. The real question becomes whether the board wants to entertain that, and if so, what terms you want to propose to the town of Chittenden to do so.
Anything else, Mike, you want to add?
Well, the one thing that I think that we overlooked, and I had a meeting with that select board person on the 3rd of October, was they are also want to contract with us for animal control.
That's true.
So, and in that meeting, they did discuss that maybe during the winter months, having less hours up there between, like November 1st and March 1st. They still want us up there a period of time, but not as much. They want us more in the summertime when schools, you know, the kids are out and people are around. But they advised me that their budget would not be set until the end of January, 1st of February, and that they would be back in touch with me.
Okay.
So actually, there's not much for us to do
No,
until that takes place.
this is just an
Right.
update.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Next, discuss a plan to create an ice caves trail.
And again, Mr. Chairman, we do have Baird Morgan and Bill Powers here. Baird works with the Trails Committee. Bill Powers is the president of the Historical Society that owns the Ice Caves parcel. And I know that the Trails Committee had talked with Randy, who's also here, director, about creating an Ice Caves trail, which would facilitate people getting to that site. And I know I had my concerns about whether it's a good idea to encourage people to go up to a site that could be dangerous, but obviously these folks can speak for themselves. Maybe Bill and Baird can give us their thoughts.
Go ahead, Baird, I'm here
The ice cave has existed at least for 60 years, because I first went there myself into the cave probably back around 1950. It's been in continuous use, so that trail's been in continuous use at least since that time. The reason for the Trail Committee talking to the Historical Society was to sort of say, all of our trails in Pittsford are part of the Vermont Trail Network. And by being part of the Vermont Trail Network, that affords landowners basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Liability protection.
Immunity. Immunity.
Immunity, yeah. And I would cite, just for the record here, and I'm reading here from the Vermont Landowner's Guide for Public Recreational and Private Land. But it says under Title 12 VSA, Section 1037, acceptance of inherent risk in Appendix 1, recreationists accept the risk in the sport they perform. This means they cannot successfully sue a landowner for injuries sustained as a result of the risk inherent to the activity when snowmobiling, cross-country skiing, mountain bike, or even walking. And then further, under the general statute, 12 VSA, Section 5791, says that no owner is liable for any property damage or personal injury to a person who uses the property for recreation, providing that a fee is not charged. Anyhow, it goes on, but those are I think, the salient statutes that are referred to. I talked to someone from the Department of Forest and Parks today, and I said, are ice caves or quarries or something of that nature, is that exempt from the statutes? And the lady I spoke to is not a lawyer. She happens to head this program, but she said, as far as we're concerned, you know, there's nothing any different. I mean, we have these risks throughout the state. So if people want to go climb into a quarry, they can do it, but they do so at their own risk. However, if it's not part of the Vermont Trail Network, then they can sue the landowner, and you know, they can probably succeed. But because this trail would be part of the Vermont Trail Network, these statutes would hold harmless the town and the private landowner from any lawsuit. So I guess what I'm saying is people have been using this trail. Even if we say no, we don't want to do it, and that's fine. People will continue to use that trail. I think we might do, at least my suggestion would be, to have a sign that lays out in pretty good detail the inherent risks. I've hiked all the long trail several times, and there are many greater risks hiking the long trail than there are hiking the ice caves. Now, that doesn't, that's a general statement, but it is tricky. The climb up there is tricky. And I think there probably ought to be some specific warning signs, so we don't get some little old lady or some kid up there that, doesn't know what they're doing.
The only concern I have is it puts our firefighters and our rescuers in a lot greater harm as far as, we've had several rescues inside the caves, and those get to be pretty hairy. They're putting our people at risk, so the more people you get going up there, the greater we've got risks of us getting hurt. We've had some pretty bad rescues up there over the last few years, as Dave can attest. So, we've had broken legs in there, broken ankles, head injuries. They get in the caves, they fall. It's not easy getting them out of there.
The other part of that too, Baird,
I would
is
disagree.
Well, you may disagree, but
No,
I'm the guy doing it.
I wouldn't disagree.
Oh, okay, I thought you said you disagree. I was going to say, we're the guys doing it, I would disagree.
the other part of that too. In today's world, your signage is all well and good if you speak English. But as
true.
what just happened in Burlington on the lake, probably that young man drowned because he wasn't able to read English, and they're wrestling with the fact, how do we signage this up here with so many different nationalities? The last rescue that we took out of the ice caves was a Japanese lady. She spoke no English whatsoever. We had no idea where she hurt. We had no idea what she had for broken bones. Luckily, we finally found someone that could translate for us. And like you, I've lived here in Pittsford all my life. It's probably been 25 years since I've dared to go back up there because of my age. And it's bad. I've hiked a long trail too, and that is a nasty, nasty walk to the ice caves. I'll voice my opinion
It's
right now.
nasty carrying somebody out of there, I know that.
Yes.
Especially in the
I
rain.
just have one clarification question. You say there's a trail now. Is the plan that you presented, Randy, to upgrade the existing trail?
You can't. It's so big. The big
Well,
rocks.
Well, the trail from Goat Farm Road to the actual entrance to the ice cave is 0.6 of a mile. The final 0.2 is where you leave. There used to be a nice meadow up there, you probably recall,
Yep.
years ago,
Mhm.
lovely meadow. From Goat Farm up to that meadow is 0.4 of a mile, and the final 0.2 is where you're scrambling.
And that's an easy walk up through the
Very
meadow.
difficult. And the trail right now, I'm suggesting is probably being maintained by Camp Sangamon and Camp Betsy Cox. Bob Harnish and I walked up there probably 3 weeks ago, and there are some new steps and so forth that certainly weren't there when I was last up there, probably 30 years ago with our kids. So somebody, I think it's the camps that are maintaining the trail right now.
The town's involvement here is very limited. Obviously, the Historical Society owns the land. The question I had was whether we wanted to endorse the idea of our Trails Committee working on the trail to upgrade it, given that some enterprising lawyer might say, well, the town's on the hook too, since they were involved in inviting people up there. But as you saw in the packet, the LCT looked at that, and they said it would probably be okay with adequate safety signage.
And that's what the lady, said today that I
Yeah.
talked to.
I think we should have as little as possible to do with it.
Joe?
Oh, me too.
I'm wondering, I've been up there a couple of times in my lifetime, and it's a dangerous place. Especially the caves there, especially. I mean, getting up to them is a challenge, yes, but are we opening up what could turn into a big problem? I'm sure that ice cave is documented, and people that are exploring caves and searching for caves can find it, and chances are they are more well equipped, if you want to call it that, to handle the dangers that are up there. But if you blaze a nice trail up through there and mark it and advertise it and promote it, you're going to get a whole lot more people going up there. That means a whole lot more possibilities for problems. And is that what we need? I mean, it belongs to the Historical Society right now, but the Land Trust, they're involved in it too, I believe.
Nature Conservancy.
Or Nature Conservancy, well, whatever. So they have a hand in it too. You can't just do anything you want. That can't be sold without their...
They have given us a written permission to do that. That's,
But why not leave it just as it is and let the people that go searching for them things, and there is plenty of documentation, let them find it and let them navigate it, rather than to open up it's a nice idea, yeah, to have a nice trail up there and advertise it as come to Pittsford to see the ice caves. There's not very many towns that have them. But aren't we encouraging for more rescues for the fire department, well, for one thing? And the liability, maybe the town wouldn't be liable, but there's no need of increasing liabilities, in my mind. There's a lot of people that are looking to take advantage of lawsuits. So I feel as though maybe this is just my opinion. Let it stay as it is. Go ahead.
Bill?
The agreement that the Pittsford Historical Society signed with the Trails Committee was to maintain a trail on the 55 acres of property that the Pittsford Historical Society owns and includes the ice caves. Now, if they want to go to the ice cave or somewhere else, but it's not the focus of the ice caves. If you want to talk about liability, the trails now that go up to the top of Bald Peak are probably within that 55 acres. And if somebody falls off that ledge up there, it's no different than if they fell down inside the ice caves. Now, as a kid, I went up there. As a teenager, I was in the ice cave a couple of times. And then when this issue came up, I went up there. I tried to go up there 2 weeks ago. And the trail is extremely vague. And I lost it going up, but I bushwhacked up to the southern entrance where the trail went in the crevice between the two hills. And at one time, last time I'd been up there in 2015 when I was down at the bottom of the ice cave at the age of 67, but I had a lot of help. The pond that you used to be able to skirt on the west side, you can't do it anymore. So I don't know where the trail goes. So I support the town of Pittsford trying to expand the trail system. And if it wants to go through the Pittsford Pittsford historical property, that's fine. Whether you call it ice cave trail or whatever you want to call it, I think it should be open to be able to be used by the public, notwithstanding the ice cave issue. As far as the nature conservancy, the only thing in the deed that the Nature Conservancy has is they have a sign at the entrance to the trail that says, because of the Nature Conservancy's involvement, the Pittsford Historical Society has ownership of this property, much to my dismay. I support the Trails Committee going through the property on the Pittsford Historical Society, 55 acres.
Anything that makes it easier, I'm not in favor of.
I just have a safety concern.
Well,
The caves themselves. Trails, I don't mind.
I do.
But
The trails are as bad as getting into the ice caves.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess I wasn't aware that there was a trail going up to the top of Bald Peak. And like you just stated, that's as bad trying to get there as it would be to get to the ice cave. I'd ban that one right along with that.
Along with it.
Yeah.
In Tim's involvement years ago, when he first started, you had one up there.
We've had several up there.
I know you have, but that one you had to actually put the word out for the spelunking people.
Mhm.
The person was so hurt and so far in there.
We even got a helicopter to get them out when we landed. So,
So,
Does the board want to take any action on this?
I guess the
I'd
limited
like to
question
table
is,
it
do
for
you
tonight.
want to take action to prevent the Pittsford Trails Committee from working on that trail?
Actually, we don't have to do, we don't have to do anything.
That's true. I mean, that I'm talking about that if you wanted to do it something different than what's currently happening.
Wait a minute, I don't understand. We
We don't have to take any action on anything.
And that would do what?
We'll not get the town involved at all.
That would eliminate the Pittsford Rec Department from putting a trail up there?
They currently are planning to do so.
That's what I'm saying.
Isn't
If
that
we
right,
don't
Randy?
act on it, is that gonna go through? Putting us in the liability stage?
It could go through anyways.
Not with the Pittsford Rec Department if we say no, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
But the Historical Society could put a trail up through there.
pardon me?
The landowner in the Historical Society could put a trail up there.
Doesn't have anything to do with the town though.
no,
We're not endorsing the rec committee either.
no. I'm not going to endorse it.
Well, I say put an end to it right now, and I'd like to make a motion that the Pittsford Rec Department does not get involved, or the Pittsford Trail System does not get involved with installing any sort of a trail and be a part of something going to the ice caves.
I'd second that.
Further discussion?
Could you repeat the motion?
Sure. I make the motion that the Pittsford Rec Department and the Pittsford Trail System that we support in the town does not get involved with making improvements to the trail to the ice caves for usage on Pittsford trails. Being designated as a Pittsford
You
trail.
have the permission to cut trails across 55 acres of the Pittsford Historical Society property.
But doesn't the select board have the
Ice
authority?
cave is not the issue, it's the trail.
Pardon me?
Ice cave is not the issue,
Okay.
it's the trail.
Right. All right, so leave the ice caves out of it. If you stop the trails, then we're not going to be a part of the ice caves either.
Whatever you want to do. But the
Sorry.
agreement was for a trail through 55 acres.
So restate your motion without the ice caves.
Okay. I make a motion that the Pittsford Rec Department and Trail System that's supported by the town of Pittsford does not actively be involved in erecting a trail from Goat Farm Road to the ice caves.
So we have a second.
I'll second that.
Now we have any further discussion?
I wonder if Randy would like to say anything on the topic. You work with the Trails Committee.
Well, it was my understanding the Trails Committee wanted to make that trail safe for peace for travelers to travel on, to sign it, to make it wider in some places or safer with signage and cutting back limbs or and adding extra signs down in the parking lot to let people know of the issues going on, you know, letting people know that it's a difficult trails and it's not for everybody, so.
The bad part of it is, Randy, that signage doesn't improve anything. And like Baird stated a little while ago, the first 5/10 of the 7/10,
First 4/10.
4/10 is pretty easy walk.
Yeah.
It's the last 2/10 that are them huge boulders and crevices to the entrance of the ice cave is so, I don't know how to put it other than unsafe. Unsafe.
I don't have a problem with them making that trail a safer trail. I just don't want to see it promoting the ice caves, I guess, because, you know, most people don't go out and promote it. Yeah, this is going to get you to the ice cave. That's where you're going to get more people going up there. I like to see that trail that, for the people that do use it now, be a little bit safer.
But you can't improve that last 2/10.
I know. How are you going to improve the last 2/10?
You're not going to improve the last 2/10.
See, and so that's the problem.
That's physically.
So that's,
And that's where all of our injuries
and
have
that's all,
been.
yeah, that's where all our rescues are, right there.
Yeah.
And it takes us hours to get them out of there. So that's where I've got a problem.
So you don't, so
safety-wise.
maybe the motion, I'm sorry to interrupt, but maybe you'd want to amend your motion to say you oppose Pittsford Rec and Trails Committee involvement in any way improving the final 2/10 of a mile that breaks away from the trail and takes you to the ice caves?
I don't think we can.
No, I'm gonna leave my motion
Okay.
as I said. Thank you.
Sure.
The sad part of it is, no matter what you do to make a decent trail up there to utilize all that other acreage, the sad part of it is it gets people up there to the ice caves. That's the hitch that comes with it, and it's too bad, but I don't see how you can improve a trail up into that region without encouraging more ice cave traffic.
Conversely, if you don't improve the trail, it's gonna be harder for the fire department to go up there and rescue.
That's another good point. I recognize that too.
Not going to
You couldn't
improve.
get up there now.
There's actually alternative ways up there.
Yeah.
From the other end of Goat Farm
You
Road,
go-
you could take a four-wheeler right to the ice cream.
You can actually go in from
When you come in from down at the other end of it and come up over.
Furnace
There's
Brook.
a,
You
yeah,
can go
there's
up in
a
there
trail
too.
that comes right across the top. I hunt that every November. So anybody that wants to go up in 2 weeks, meet at my mother's house, I'll take you right up there.
5 o'clock.
All right, we're gonna bring this to a vote. All those in favor of the
Yeah,
motion
there's
say
a
aye.
trail that goes
Aye.
Can we have quiet, please?
comes right across the top,
Oh,
right from the other end.
Mr. Charbonneau, we're not interrupting your meeting, are you? Are we?
No, I was explaining.
We're in the middle.
We're in a meeting. We'd appreciate it if you'd let us proceed, or we can wait until you're done and we'll be here all night. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed to the motion say no.
No.
I'm going to abstain due to my association with the Historical Society. So the motion passes 3-1. The town will have no involvement in anything up there. Next on the agenda is the Planning Commission's presentation of the proposed town plan.
Yes, we have several members of the Planning Commission, chief among them, the chief, Dave Sulia, who's, I think, going to give us an overview of the amended town plan, proposed amended town plan.
I believe everybody has a copy of kind of the couple of amended items, conditions in your packet.
Yes.
Was it in tonight?
It's in tonight's material.
Where else in tonight's material?
Towards the bottom.
This is the amended town plan, and then there's a memo from Jeff Biasuzzi describing some changes that were adopted by the Planning Commission together with the last two sections of their minutes.
This is on the yellow paper. just
way in the bottom, Hank.
Right there, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. That's part of it.
I'll find it.
Got it, yep.
Oh, that's okay.
So what you had presented before you is the proposed new town plan. That's stapled together, coinciding memo dated 11/1/2017 from Jeff Biasuzzi. Again, the original plan was to have these updates already put into the town plan. Things got a little slow getting the information from the meeting, so we didn't get a chance to get those added into the actual town plan before we get it to you. So the game plan would be, we got the proposed amendments from the planning commission, along with the proposed town plan. These are additional amendments. If you folks want to read that over when you conduct your hearing, you can present it to everybody, and at the end, just like with the zoning regs before, you can direct us to add these in at the end. That's all good to go. questions or anything surrounding it.
We'll take a look at it.
You know, some big takeaways in there, and if any of the other members of the planning commission want to jump in, we did make sure to have language included, specifically dealing with the town's desire to not have wind up on the ridge lines. We addressed that. We furthermore discussed another big addition would be the making sure the term wildlife corridor was removed from town plan. However, we do have language in there that does state the point in fact that we do have all sorts of forest all over the place. But we do not have any legally questionable terms such as wildlife corridor is not in there. So that has been removed. And again, we tightened up, streamlined some stuff. Any of the other members, commission members have anything? Rick, please.
Just to reiterate what you said, we incorporated into this that planning commission made these small, some of them typo errors, and voted to send this to the select board. In addition, instead of reprinting a whole series of plans, which you people already had, just these are the corrections or amendments, I believe Dave mentioned. And we're submitting it to you. And we request you take it under consideration and set your public hearings as soon as possible to accommodate the time constraints of the expiration of the town plan December 19th of this year.
And I remember having a meeting with Rick, with Chairman Pelkey, and we looked at the calendar and the legal requirements for notice, and came up with the proposed dates of Monday, December 4th, and Wednesday, December 20th, as the two public hearings to be held on the town plan.
So I make a motion, we accept
Oh,
the,
excuse me, John, you got 4 and 20?
Yeah, that's different than what.
Yeah, that's different. When we met, we talked about the town plan expiring December 19th,
Mhm.
and I requested that if you could have your public hearings sooner than that, outside of your regular meetings.
Oh, I thought we had agreed on the 4 and the 20, on the theory that as long as it's adopted by January 1st, there's no problem.
Well, our town plan will be expired, and my understanding, I don't know, maybe Hank, if you could step in here, as to, I thought your time was, we were gonna go November.
We agreed that we had to have 30 days from tonight before we could have the first one. We talked about December 1st, but we also agreed, I thought, that December 4th would be the first one, just to make sure we weren't running afoul of the 30 days.
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
that's correct.
The memo
So-
that you sent out though, John, says the 6th and the 20th.
That's right,
No,
and
we had to
Rick
change that.
pointed out that we'd rather do the first public hearing a couple days earlier,
We changed that on Monday.
So it's the 4th and the 20th.
4th and 20th.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion, we accept the commission's presentation as is,
Second it.
and schedule the public hearings for the 4th and the 20th.
Second.
Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion unanimously carries. Next item is the Old Hubbardton Road. Discussion of.
I'm still ready. Which is me. Okay, what
That's right.
pardon me?
No, I'm sorry. I was you.
I've been giving this a lot of thought, Hank, and I want to try to bring some of the facts that we have discussed on this Old Hubbardton Road, to put them in on the minutes so that they're public knowledge. And I'm trying to wrestle with keeping with the integrity of executive session. Thank you. And I think I can do this. But I think it's important that the public, especially the taxpayers, understand some of the decisions that we've made and where we're going with this, because there's so much rumors, whatever you want to call it, floating around over this debacle that it's not fair to the process to have all these rumors get mushed up and just muddy the waters, is my opinion. So stop me if I get astray, because I know you know more about the legalities of executive session than I do. But I wanted to point out a couple of things, first of all, that I don't think the public understands or knows, because I didn't until I got on here to the board. That two things that are town policies are that each agency within the town, fire department, police, recreation, they have the ability to spend a certain amount of money without going to their boss, which is the town manager, to go farther. And that amount of money is $1,000 per agency. And then the town manager has the ability to spend up to $5,000 on his own without having to come before the board. And I think that's a very important part of my discussion, or my comments. When we started a year ago something, and I don't remember dates because I don't have the letters in front of me, but our highway foreman came before this board asking to improve the 0.6 of a mile, I think it worked out to be, of Old Hubbardton Road, so that he could get through there easier with town equipment. And our understanding, or at least mine with my memory, is that he was going to draw a few loads of fill up there to fill in some bad spots. And my estimation, and although I don't believe we ever gave him any timetable as to how much time to spend or material, but I estimated that 3 or 4 loads of gravel and a couple of days of labor would take care of that. And on goes the winter. The fall came and went, winter came and went, and then this spring, and we got a notification from John via email, I believe it was, requesting that the board get together and review Old Hubbardton Road, and his thoughts were to change that from a Class 4 to a Class 3 road. And obviously the red flags went up, because how are we going to do that with what we authorized the road foreman to do? And then we went up and visited the process, and I don't know how else to put it other than we were all very much surprised. And so we came back and discussed it, and I believe at that time our highway foreman was on vacation, and we discussed it with the board and our town manager, and asking John how this all took place without our knowledge. I believe John stated that he wasn't aware that it was taking place either, and he kind of dropped the ball in keeping track of the highway crew. So when Sean got back from vacation, he came in and addressed this board and told us at that time that he had met with the town manager on 3 occasions and asked him if it was all right to progress with that moving the road along, improving it. And obviously he got permission to do so because he went ahead and did it. So at that point, we were very, at least I was, and I say that because I'm not sure how many other board members felt the way I did, but we were led astray by our town manager at that point, telling us he wasn't aware of it was going to go on, when in fact he approved it right from the get-go. The other part of it is the money that has been spent up there. The amounts went on and on and on, and I hope we've finally got the final tallies of $30,000. And that's where it falls into process that how do we deal with the town manager spending $30,000 when he's only obligated by the town policies to only spend $5 without coming back to the board? which to my knowledge also, that never happened. And the other part of it is too, there's two different scenarios that happened. The town manager, a couple of weeks after that, approved a piece of equipment to come into the town for the highway department to work on culverts and road projects to the tune of $16,000. And it turned out to be 18 in total once all the moves took place. So that you add on to 30, and we're up to $46,000.
Hey, I want to stop you right there.
Okay.
You can't bring that in because that's not part of the.
I can't bring what in?
You can't bring the second one in because that's not part of the old Hubbard Road. The
Okay.
discussion is of the old Hubbard Road.
Gotcha. Good point. You're absolutely right. So leaving that aside, we're still setting at spending $30,000, and there was no approval to do this. I guess being an old military man, I find that insubordination on the part of our town manager. And there's many, many things that you can attribute to insubordination to. But this one here is the not following of orders that this select board laid out, not following policy that has been in process for I don't know how long. It wasn't met or wasn't made by this board, I don't believe. But the fact still remains that what does our town manager expect that we should do, or how does the town manager feel that he can just do this without bringing it before our board? And I find it very appalling. And what I'd like to see, I think that process that took place calls for very stringent discipline to take place. And my opinion is that I don't think we can allow John to be our town manager any longer for doing this sort of thing. And I know I'm not going to be supported, but I call for this board to act and ask for a resignation and terminate his contract. That's what I have.
Okay, thank you, David. Well thought out and well presented.
Thank you. It's not easy to say some of this stuff, but I just can't let it go on without just, as a board member for the town of Pittsford, a select board member, the public needs to know this, and you can't just pass this off as nothing ever happened, because something has happened, and it needs to be addressed. And I don't think we've done that.
Comments from the board?
That's a personnel issue. Don't take up an executive session.
Agreed.
If I could speak to the issue for a minute. Last fall, there was some culvert work done over on the Whipple, or Far Hill Road. And there was a few loads, supposedly, we were told that there was a few load of dirt left over that could be put on the old Hubbardton Road. And last March, at town meeting, I usually give a little presentation of what the accomplishments were for the previous year and what the goals were for the coming year. And at last March meeting, I did mention some improvement work to be done to the Hubbardton Road. And that was gonna, John had, I guess he'd started in the fall to do some, but the weather put a stop to it. And in the spring, he was gonna finish that up. And that was the last that I heard about how much money was going to be spent. And like Dave says, it got out of hand. And it's too bad. I mean, I hate to think that it's gotten into this predicament where it is. Myself, I hate to say that I would ask. We need to look at our personnel requirements, I guess, with a strong pair of glasses and talk about this some more, I think. That's the way I feel about it.
David, we'll bring your recommendation to executive session.
It's fine. I kind of anticipated that.
All right? On to the next one.
What's your pleasure? Which one?
Preparation for Veterans Day ceremony.
Yes. Pleased to report that we've confirmed song lyrics with our performers and recruited Cameron Silloway once again to perform taps. And we've got the wreath on order, and there'll be some light refreshments available for the ceremony, which will take place Saturday, November 11th at 11 o'clock here at the town offices.
That's it?
That's it.
Do we have anything else on that? Next one is consider scheduling public hearing on the issue of potential renewal of fireworks sales permit.
Yes, I gather there's might be a scheduling problem with Selectman Trombley. We had just wanted to put the topic before you as to whether you want to even have a public hearing as you had previously discussed. There's been some other ideas floated, like simply adopting a policy that a renewal of a license to sell fireworks would be conditioned on the non-sale to Pittsford and Florence residents. That's been one option discussed. But certainly if you want to have a public hearing, that's perfectly good too. You just got to tell me what date and we can publicize it.
I think we should have a public hearing.
I do too myself, because there's a lot of...
I thought we decided that we were going to have a public hearing.
We need to settle a date.
Would you like to try December 6th? That's the next available date.
I will be here then, but I would really like to be present for it, and I won't be here November 15th.
So let's move
December
to
6th
December
is
6th.
fine,
Thank you.
We could do it December 4th in conjunction with our other
if you
public
want
hearing.
Yep.
Let's do them together.
Sure. December 4th?
December 4th?
And we'll
Sure.
hold two public hearings.
Yep.
Save the night.
Yep.
I guess the next thing is consider revised engineering proposal for the Fire Hill Road culvert replacement project.
Yes, this I think is the last item. In your packet, there is a memo about that topic, and it does discuss the fact that when the engineers got into the design of the structure just west of the Troy Minerals intersection, they found siltier soils than they had believed they would see, which has caused them to change the approach to what kind of structure would be best for that environment. As a result, they have told us that additional work with the Army Corps and the State Wetlands Department is needed, perhaps some pilings to be driven to support the structure. And all that said, they do wish to revise their contracted engineering cost agreement with the town. Originally, that figure was $18,500 to do the engineering for the structure and the site work around it. And as a result of the unforeseen situation that they have found, they've proposed that that be increased to $27,100. As you know, 90% of the original $18,500 was going to be paid from a Vermont Agency of Transportation Structures grant. And the question then will be for us to try to recapture 90% of this increase by asking for an additional amount on the original grant, or to roll the additional cost into the construction grant, which we'll be applying for in the springtime. But either way, we hope to gather the lion's share of that $8,600 increase. I guess the bottom line, as I point out in the memo, is that the structure needs to be replaced. There's really two rusting out tubes under laid up marble stone blocks. It needs to be replaced, and we need to do it right. And in order to do it right, we have to have engineers help us with the process, and I really don't see any way around agreeing to the extra $8,600.
Hey,
Yes.
John, do you know when we hire engineers to do whatever, is it a contract?
Yeah,
So we have a contract with these people,
We
this
do.
engineering firm
we do.
for the amount of?
Of $18,500. And in the packet, you'll see their explanation as to the unforeseen circumstances that force them to recommend that they hire a geotechnical consultant to help them with, again, the unforeseen things that they've seen in the field.
Oh, that's a lot of extra money that they didn't.
I agree, and as you see from the emails, I expressed my concern about that. We had a long conference call at which they explained to me their reasoning and how they feel that in order to be sure that the project will be engineered properly, they need to bring in this other firm to consult with. I didn't like that either.
It's kind of disheartening to
To
see that professionals like engineering firms wouldn't have picked up on that prior to their going into a contract with us.
Well, I think, again, it was part based on their soil borings. They didn't see the kind of materials that they had been originally planning on in the soil borings. A
Not
lot.
unusual, David, even though I have a hard time with it. I understand.
Probably,
Joe, wait a minute, I'm talking, please, excuse me. I understand after 40 years in the construction business, that unforeseen conditions certainly do occur and they're never part of the contract. So we're kind of at their mercy.
I accept that.
As long as we recap it.
We'll do our best. We'll do our best to get that 90% on that increase.
Okay, Joe,
there's nothing in the contract we have with them, there's loopholes in them for them to ask for this extra money. I mean, the contract we have with the engineer, there's no guarantee.
No, they've based
They have
their
a way
original.
out to charge more if they want to.
Again, if
There's
unforeseen
always
events.
an unforeseen conditions.
Paid them enough, just seems too bad.
I agree. I
It
agree.
was like when we did the bridge where we ran into $130,000 of extra work at the truckload bridge.
So do we need a motion to authorize that?
We do, because that's beyond my $5,000 limit.
I'd make a motion
Is
to
there any way you
authorize.
can find out whether that money will, the state will back us on this, or we gotta take our chances?
Well, we need to move forward with the project, and by the time we get an answer from the state on our request, it could be significant time passing.
Yeah.
I can ask them and apply for an increase tomorrow, but I'm sure it won't be fast enough for us to move forward with it.
Sounds like we've gotta take it on the chin.
Again, with the hope that we can collect 90% of it back from the state.
So I'd make a motion that we can authorize John to go ahead and approve that.
Second it.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. John, correct me, but I think that's the end of our open business meeting.
I believe that's right.
So we'll take a short recess and we'll go into executive session.